Nigerians, there's this fear of my money, and it looks like this new tax act will bring a certain kind of leverage for government to put their eyes and their nose where it ought not to be and tax people like you too. Come here, what do you have in your pocket? How much are you spending? Is this true?
I just get when people don't seem to. You know what they call out to Sam in America? It's not the CIA, it's the IRS. By virtue of the tax man, you yourself, you are supposed to honestly, without prompting from the tax man, to disclose your financial status to the tax man. So, in every jurisdiction and all over the world, the tax man has access to your finances only for tax purposes.
Hello, welcome to The Nation today on Base 101.1 FM. It's a regular podcast where we bring you all of the issues, the burning issues in the nation, local issues. We all dissect it here. We go global as well to bring all of the issues, dissect the fact, and give you a better understanding. And on the show today, it is something very, very important we want to talk about. People don't want to talk about it, but I'll give you a brief background. Coming into the new year, Nigerians have never really got into the extent where they look at the Naira and Kobo as they got to celebrate this year. But there was some sort of financial apprehension of what happens after January 1st. Okay, if you stay long enough, you will find out what this is all about. So this is unbundling what this new tax administration or the regime would be for Nigerians. And I've got someone who joined us here who should know better what tax can do to you and how important it is for the nation and to get this tax administration going. And everything you need to know, if you stay here, all of the disinformation, misinformation will be sorted out. On the show, we've got a very special guest as a special advisor to the executive chairman of the Lagos State Internal Revenue Service, LIRS. I've got Aberdeen Akonde. Thank you for speaking with us on The Nation today.
It's good to have me here, Masha. I'm good.
All right, so we just quickly get into this new tax act for 2025 that came into being January 1st. It ruffled financial feathers, whether in the microeconomic level, the family level, businesses, everybody was just, there's some sort of apprehension at private level. So just help us, why did this really generate so much controversy or unease with people?
Okay, thank you. I think the good thing is that we must understand that fundamentally, there are some issues that we can't wish away. There is a disconnect for now. There's a trust deficit between the government and the governed. It will take some time for it to disappear. So it's something we have to maybe deal with. And then secondly, and more importantly also, is the natural tendency to fear change. And it is human to just fear change. But all those ones can be cured with continuous engagements and information dissemination. But on top of that are some layering which we need to address. There is the social media phenomenon. Then there's the issue of some measure of mischief, on top of which you now have malice. And I would go through it step by step. People just don't want to change. It is natural because you think where your comfort zone. So any new thing, you are apprehensive. But we need to let people know that this is best for not only the family level, but for the economy as a whole. And I think the Presidential Committee has been doing a lot of work on that. But we can't do enough when it comes to engagement if providing clarity and clarification on new things. But we have the social media issue of people wanting to trend. And I had an engagement with Nigerian Institute of Public Relations about sometimes in December. A fellow of that institute and a member of the council was able to establish that they, from their own research, found out that bad news travel 14 times faster than good news. Now, they did an experiment. One single influencer that they know told him or her, I don't know whether it's a female, to intentionally put out a negative false comment, and 24 hours later to retract that and put out the real, the truth information. And 2 weeks afterwards, they now check I don't know how they do the accounts. They found out that the false information trended 20 times more than the true information. So that's scaling we have. And then also in a situation where you have people who should know, we are talking of cases of federal legislators who are the people that passed the law and coming forward to compare what's a left of the House, there are two of them, with what was published, when in actual fact there's an harmonized version with the two houses passed, which should be the one that was said by the president that should be compared and giving people that kind of information that can adapt to what they do. And then you have one of the four major accounting firms, the Big Four, coming forward, framing their own opinion about certain aspects of the law as if they are facts. So that's what I call, it's more of mischief, but when it gets to that level, then it's more of malicious, if I say so. That's my own opinion. So, but I think the best way to counter it is what is being done now, which is disseminate information. And then, like I told some people, by the end of this month, when people feel the impact of the in their pockets, it's because when you get your first pay and realize that we compared with what we had in December, no increase in salary, but your take-home pay has increased because there's no tax on it, then you will see that all these issues will quietly just phased out.
So, which leads me to the question, people would tend to use these words so much everywhere. They tell you tax, 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 without even really understanding it. So, but I just want to quickly link that to the words of Benjamin Franklin, where he said, in this world, two things are certain, taxes and death. So, walk us through what are we exactly talking about taxes? What does it really mean for the layman?
Okay, those taxes are actually just that little bit or portion of the income or profits that you make from economic activities or financial activities in an environment that is a jurisdiction where you operate, which you now contribute to the management of that environment. Because it is implied that for you to have been able to carry out such activities to make some gain or profit, then some structures within that environment enabled it. So all you are doing is just contributing your own bit to that tax. That's what tax is all about.
Now, walk me through this, which is, why is it necessary to have a tax reform at this stage of our national development? What's wrong with what we had before?
Okay, now I'll come back to you. Essentially what you had before was that we had what you can call very out of purpose structure. Fragmented. It was not fair because it was not progressive. Because you now have people that are at the lower level and people at the higher level almost paying the same thing at some flat rates in some cases, not in all cases. And then you have a situation where even the compliance template is such that it's more or less incentivized non-compliance than compliance. I'll put it this way for you, that because aside from tax itself, there's a cost to you to comply. Yeah, you have to go to this way, employ somebody to do this for years. When you put and you get all those costs together, and you compare it with the penalty in the law, you find that your cost of complying is higher than the penalty. So it means it's better for an average economic man to actually not comply, say that I would rather pay the penalty because at the end of the day, I'll be better off. So what this reform has done is to flip that template so that the cost of non-compliance, the penalty for non-compliance is now high, whilst efforts is being made to harmonize the taxes and reduce cost of compliance for those people that are law-abiding citizens of the country.
So I'd like to do a circle back to what you talked about, why people should pay taxes. And you mentioned for you to have made profit or in an environment for a certain number, like let's say the year, a circle, which is 365 days, certain elements of that environment must have enabled you to make that. So again, the pushback about taxation is really, what really do I enjoy in terms of infrastructure, and why should I pay taxes? Could have been one of the pushback for this. They don't see that. So it's like, I provide my own water, security, I build roads. So why are you taking taxes from me?
The nature of humans is that we don't appreciate what we have. We only emphasize what we don't have, what we perceive that we don't have. And if, God forbid, there's no government today, imagine the kind of environment which we find ourselves. You understand? Yes, we are not there yet, but I keep telling people the cup is half full, not half empty. Whether you like it or not, yes, maybe the roads to your house may not be tarred by government, but when you leave your house to go to work or to go to the market, you go on the main highway that has been tarred by government. You understand? And there are some benefits to it. Eventually, they will get to the last mile of your own house. You understand? And can the government do more? Absolutely. Absolutely. There's much more for government to do so that we can see. And it is those when people pay taxes, because surprisingly, it is the constitutional obligation that says we must do it. But also the constitution also puts some obligation on governments to do certain things. You understand? So people say, but I think the most important thing that we should know is that we need to do what is expected of us as per the law and as per the constitution. And that we now be in a position to say, government, you got to do this, got to do this, got to do. So, and you can see all in jurisdictions where you have had this kind of development. They tell you no tax, there's no representation, there's no tax. So you have ability to do this. And then when you pay tax, you can demand from the authorities that certain things needs to be done. And that's where I think where we're going to.
Your critical issues you raised here, issues of accountability, transparency, are the things that resonate from your statement, your submission at the moment. But I just want you to help us, now that we have a specialist like you and close to the heart of this, help us understand and break down what it means, what this new tax that has tax act that has come on board. So unbundle, what do we really have inside this box?
Okay. All right. There are 4 laws. Now, 2 of them have become operational since June last year. The one on the NRS, that is the Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment Act, and then there's JRB, which is Joint Revenue Board Establishment Act as well. The NRS is just to re-emphasize the fact that the NRS, which is the former FRS, is not an agency of the federal government alone, but an agency of the Federation of Nigeria, as that is a tax authority that is accountable to the federal, states, and local governments because it collects on their behalf. So that thing has been done is also to streamline some of the operations at that level as well. Then you have the GRP, which regulates the relationship between the state's revenue authorities and the federal authority, and is to harmonize the working relationship and provide a kind of coordinating center, if I can put it that way, or a clearinghouse for all the state's revenue authorities. We have a spectrum of, how do I call it now? ICT, just as an example, infrastructure across all the states. So what the JRB will do essentially is that will be a kind of clearinghouse that will be able to support all those states internal revenue that have not been able to maybe push up the ICT facilities up to the minimum standard. So those are the kind of things that the things. And then the JRB also, the act itself, make a provision for the tax ombud. The tax ombud is to provide free service for low-income people who have disagreements with tax authority. because where you have two people, there's likely to be some disagreement. Now, because you don't have the wherewithal, you just get, well, the fact already assess something. But now you have an avenue where you can go and say, hear yourself out. This is, I think the fact already is trying to cheat me. This is it. And then you have somebody that is competent to now take the case up at no cost to you. You see, and those are kind of the values in this. Now we have the Nigerian Tax Act itself. That tax act is, I was doing the count, almost about 20 previous tax have been harmonized into one. That alone is a positive thing. They've tried to see some things that are consistently the same thing within all those taxes and then put them in a proper perspective for people. You understand? So and that harmonization has, whether we like it or not, fundamentally reduced the cost of compliance for taxpayers, because instead of having to deal with about 10 or more different acts with different rules, you have just only one that gives you a kind of consistent application of rules. That's what they've tried to do. They've tried to see how they can apply the rules consistently across all those different, which have now been repealed. Then there's a Tax Administration Act, NTA, Nigeria Tax Administration. That one is to allow all the various, that is the federal and the states internal, to have a consistent approach to administration of taxes in all their jurisdiction. You understand? So that, and we've had autonomy in Lagos since 2006, courtesy of this president, but now it is now a general application across board, and they have rules on how to apply certain penalties that is now consistent across board and what have you. So that is what it does. And when you have such uniformity, it engenders productivity in the economy. When I'm coming into Nigeria to come and do business, I have a clear perspective of what my fiscal obligations are. So I can plan for it and know that the rules will not change because I've moved from Ogun State to Oyo State or from to Kaduna State.
So looking at this act from what you've elaborated, does it mean we would have a situation where it alters the functions of at the subnational level, tax bodies at the subnational level?
Absolutely not. What it has done is that it has provided clarification on how we do things at subnational. It has delineated the things we can do, what we can't do, and it is consistent from state A to state Z. That's what it has done. So we know what we are supposed to do and what I know. It has not in any way compromised our autonomy because it's a federal state or what you need to do. And that's what I think is for people should know.
So which leads us to the issue that worries people more, giving them goosebump and headache most times with this. It's looking like this new tax act would empower states, that's the subnationals now, to be able to levy as they choose to. What guarantees can we give to the people who are watching?
Oh, okay. Now, the guarantee you can give to them is that they can take it from what I know, is that now we had some challenges with the Constitution of the Federal Republic. You have some elements of these taxes that one way or the other found their way to the Constitution, but you really don't have. And for you to amend the Constitution, you need at least 2/3 of the various states assembly to do it. So what the committee has done, which is very commendable, is that we have the JRB, which is the umbrella body, has designed a kind of a simple format of approved levies and taxes, which the various states are expected to take to their houses of assembly and get passed onto law. And I can tell you as that last week Friday, I think I saw on the platform, 10 states have already passed those the law, which is a good list of taxes, which shows you what can be. And then I can also confirm the design that they have made is that it cannot be more than 9. So it's single digits of the number of taxes that can be that are applicable at the subnational level. And 10 states are past states. Other states are in different stages of passing. Same for Lagos as well. So I know it has gotten beyond the EXCO of Lagos, and it's maybe it's way to the House now, because the House was more focused on getting the budget done.
We'll touch base with Lagos in a bit, but I like you to help us understand the current position of setting, because you said the number of taxes areas they could now, it's been streamlined and they cannot go beyond it with 9. So, but walk us through the current position of the value added tax and the personal income tax, withholding tax. These are issues that have been worrying people, and they really just help us understand what this would mean, this new tax act, and how it will affect the states.
Okay, you see, I'm a last mile compliance public servant. I try to stay on my lane. So the truth of the matter is that what this new law has done is that VAT is a consumption tax. So it's a tax that ordinarily resides in the constitution with the states. But it's almost impossible for the states to actually administer it, because we have the input, output. Imagine if somebody has the factory in Lagos, the goods of that company is sold in Kano, Rivers, or how do I account for it? However, if you don't centrally, then they'll find a way around it. So what the new law has done, that the rate still remains at 7.5. Now, what this law has done is that it has removed VAT on all those basic items on health, on education, that are on food. Those are the 3 major things that affects us as people. Also, they are zero rated. When they are zero rated, then also this new law allows even operators in those fields to claim back input VAT. That is, if you are, say, in the hospitality industry, you bought ambulance that is not electric van, so you put VAT on it, you can claim the 7.5 that you have paid on that ambulance, which was not applicable before. So these are benefits that people should know. You understand? That's on the VAT. So the administration is going to be much easier, and we are not likely to have states going to Supreme Court to ask for adjudication on it again, because everybody is settled on what is to be done. They've had a kind of consensus on the rates and how it should be shared, which I think for now, people think we should go with what is not what the committee recommended. They wanted to recommend, but at least for now to have, so that at least let's get started. It's a starting point. So, and I think most states will, by the time they see what comes to them, they realize that it's a good way and the proper way to follow. Now, you have raised the issue about
Personal income tax, which is
it is one that could. Now, this is the one that is most, and it gets me a bit more. I can tell you authoritatively, and I've done with my colleagues, we ran the numbers on the 2024 data anonymized that we have. 54.54% will not pay their personal income tax. That is the yield, people. About 43% again of that we pay less than what were paid under the old regime. It's only 1.6% that are going to pay more, because what the new law has done is to create a new band for the rates, and it has said anybody on chargeable income of 800. It's not on income of 800.
800 naira or 1,000.
800,000 chargeable income.
Yes.
Will not pay tax. What it means is that from the math that we have done, people on about 0.2 million per annum will actually not pay, because by the time you are 1.2, you pay. You have those the pension that you pay. You account for all that eligible the deductions, by the time you factor all those things, at 1.2, you are likely to just have zero. So if you have 100,000 as your gross pay, most likely at the end of this January, you go on that 100,000. Except, of course, less the amount you have contributed to pension, which is your own, it's your own future savings, you understand? So less that's what you have. So that's the way it is. So it is good and it's the right way to go. And I think we should all support it. The last one is on what?
Which I talked about withholding taxes.
Withholding taxes. Okay, we already have, since 2024 December, the Honorable Minister of Finance has issued regulations which has been guiding the withholding tax application across. But don't forget, even the pay that we have is a form of withholding tax. It's just an advanced form of tax which you account for when you do your filing. So that one is still running because we started that application last year, January. It was signed by the minister in December of 2024.
Nigerians, there's this fear of my money, and it looks like this new tax act will bring a certain kind of leverage for government to put their eyes and their nose where it ought not to be and tax people like you too. Come here, what do you have in your pocket? How much are you spending? Is this true?
Okay. No, you know what? I just get when people don't seem to. You know what they call Tom to Sam in America? It's not the CIA, it's the IRS. So, by virtue of the taxman, you yourself, you are supposed to honestly, without prompting from the taxman, to disclose your financial status to the taxman. So, in every jurisdiction and all over the world, the taxman has access to your finances only for tax purposes. So that's where in the tax laws, you find that the most severe penalties are reserved for the tax officials who unknowingly compromise the confidentiality of the taxpayer's information. That's the way it is. So the law has always been there. It is not new. The only thing that is new here is that the banks, financial institutions are supposed to give on a quarterly basis. I think 25 million if you've done a 25 million transaction for individual and then 100 million for companies. But that information that they're asking for is already with NFID anyway. Okay. So there's nothing new to it. There's nothing new. It's just that it has been formalized. That's what this new law said. Formalized that there's nothing there. And instead of us now going to NFI to ask for it, and don't forget, like I said, the Constitution says that you yourself should actually dispose. So what we are going to get is just to validate what we have told us that where is the file. So there is nothing there, but like I said, there's a premium on the confidentiality and safety of taxpayers' data.
So I see also from the new tax act, there's this need for you to do the annual tax filing, which puts it at January 31st, and then also for March 31st for individuals. In a society where financial literacy is still very low, do you see people with the competent skills to be able to do that, especially at the personal level?
I agree with you. You see, and that's why I can tell you that in Lagos, we started digital filing in 2018 or 2019. And then by 2022, we had a transitional period that is for people to do manual or whatever. By 2022, we cut off to strictly digital. And a lot of work still needs to be done. I can tell you in Lagos, we are thinking of introducing a USSD facility that will allow people to do that. You understand? Every taxpayer has an obligation to file, irrespective of whether your employer has filed the compensation paid to you and tax deducted from it to the tax authority. The same thing that applies to a vendor whose supply has been subjected to withholding tax applies to the employee as well. So what the employer has done has said that these are all the payments that I have made out to the various people, whether my employees or my vendors. And these are the taxes that deducted from them are remitted to you. So the vendors and the employees also have an obligation to say, this is how much I received from as an employee, and this is how much tax has been deducted based on my estimation from my pay slips by my employer. And the same thing for the vendor, who will now say, well, I supply goods to all these people. This is how much taxes they deducted from me, and these are my credit notes, including tax receipts, for you to not give me whatever. So what it does for the tax, it allows us to do what we call a cost validation. So we know what A said he gave to X, and what X now said he received from A. So if there are discrepancies, we know who to hold. You understand? It will flag it. So also don't forget that the employee, aside from the employment income, could possibly also have income from other sources. Like you have rented maybe apartments that you rented out to other people, and you collect your rent from there, or which it's an income, or you have invested in some companies, they paid dividends to you. Not minding the fact that you say the withholding tax on dividend is final, but you need to disclose it, or you've put some money in your account, you have had interest on it, and the bank has taken withholding tax on it, but it's an income that you have, which is the interest that's come to you, because it gives the planning authority the information about all that is happening with that within the economy, and it's good for that purpose, not only for tax purposes that people say it is. So it's important that we have all this information to have an aggregate of all the economic activities and income that are being generated within the economy. That's the way people should see it, and that's the way, because the law says you should do it, the Constitution also says that you should do it.
For a society that lives freely, financially buoyant, it's gonna don't you see this as going to take a long time to sit in? And I mean, there will be a lot of offenders from the way it's going, because we really don't keep the books in terms of personal income and the way we dispose of it. And for properties you talked about now, persons just money comes, it comes in, it goes, and then you want them to sit down and begin to give all of this account.
No, that's why you say your best bet is that to keep track. I know in some places when your bank sends statement to you, there is a statement they will send to you, and they tell you that please keep this. The one that relates to tax that deducted from the interest, they'll tell you that it is important, don't destroy it. You understand? That's number one. Number two, yes, we don't do things, we don't keep records. Must we continue not keeping records? The answer is no. So can we make it easier for people to keep records? Yes, we should. So, and I think that's what reforms are supposed to do, making life easier for the citizens to comply. And that's what all the things that we do in Lagos, LRS, I can tell you for sure, that's all that. When I first got here, it was, the form here was a 6-page document. We reduced to 2, eventually reduced to 1, then we automated it. Now, what we are thinking of doing in Lagos, like I said, is to introduce a USSD application that allows people that are not ICT literate to be able to punch in certain things. And like I said, in every of our offices, all our stations and offices that we have a dedicated desk, help desk, to assist to file. So anybody that, and it is at no cost. It is at no cost. Where there's no cost to it. We can let you do what is proper for you to do, and it gives you a clearer picture of what your income levels are as well.
So on a separate note, because now record keeping is important from what we're taking away from this information. So does this circular around where people talked about there is the need for narration for every money or kobo you spend now? Will this help in filing at the end of the year when we need to do the books?
If I'm giving money out to somebody, if I'm transparent, it's always good, even for my own peace of mind, to say it is for this purpose. So you just put the purpose there. But this is, like I said, it is only when you are trying to cut corners that you get into more trouble. It's like I keep telling people, to my driver, once there's hold up, just stay on the main road. Don't try to go through the side streets. If you go through the side streets, we just get stuck. So the same thing I'm telling people here is that when you're in a country, look at what nature tells you to do. Nature tells you do the right thing, and then everything will come out fine.
Now we're zeroing back home, which is Lagos. So now that we mentioned Lagos, I understand Lagos is among the first of the states among in the country to domesticate it, and people were wondering why it was so hasty for Lagos to have domesticated the act itself. So just speak to us, and how does this help the state in its financial policy and moving forward?
You're giving us a crown that we are not had. Now, I can tell you that crown belongs to Ekiti State. Yeah. They were the first to domesticate the NTA and then also enact the approved list of taxes. We are in the process of doing that in Lagos. Because, yes, we were the first to do our revenue administration in 2006. But because of the complexities of Lagos, there are certain aspects of our revenue streams that are managed by different MDAs. So there's a need for us to have a consensus on how we want to drive it, and also get on board our local government chairman. We have the chair in the committee that's working on this. And we have made a lot of progress in that. And now that the House has eventually passed the budget, I think the next thing they promised us, we start to focus on this domestication and then the enactment of this of the approved list of taxes. So we should have it, if not this month, latest in February.
So, in wrapping up this conversation today, there's Lagos, there's the tax identification number, TIN, and then there's also the LIRS ID. Would like you, there's this, which of them really, I mean, there's so many numbers we have to carry around our head, the BVN. So, help us understand the difference between this, which is superseding the other.
Okay, the laws have provided for only one single one now, which is a tax ID, and which is domiciled with the JRB. You understand? So that's part of the harmonization that we have. Every state has its own different number, but we all have a common source for this tax ID. So what I want people to take away from here is that your Lagos ID is still useful, but it should be like, I think we all those people that have bank accounts. You remember you had your account number, and then you have the NUBAN that was introduced by CBN. I think National Unified Bank Account Number, whatever they call it, NUBAN number, it's 10 figures. So we will run those two in the transition period, I believe within the next 3 to 4. But by end of June, we should be able to transit fully from the Lagos payer ID fully into the tax side. It will come earlier because transitions are something that we hope to do it as fast as possible. But to give comfort to people is that we will map all your data and your historical data on your payer ID, Lagos State one, into the tax ID. And for you to get your tax ID is as simple as anything. People that have tried it, I'm telling you, the feedback I get is that within a minute, you already have your tax ID once you have your NIN. You understand? So anybody that has a functional phone can generate his or her, because your phone won't work if you don't have NIN. So the NIN now is not, you need to just generate your tax ID, and eventually we will map all your data that you have on your Lagos PID. So it will be running, it will be the legacy, like in the banks. Up to now, I think those legacy numbers are still running. It will be running in the background, but the only number you see now is just the NUBAN number. So over time, I believe by Q3, the only number you will see in Lagos and all of the jurisdiction will be just the tax ID.
All right, that's the size of the show. The nation today is what it's all about. And today we've taken our time out to help you get a better sense of what the new tax act is all about and how it affects you and what you should begin to do now. Like we've been told, it is important for us to keep records. That narration that we've been talking about, well, gift, It stacks what you need to do so that when you need to recall and file in, it's very important. But that's how we must say thank you for being part of the conversation today. We want to say thank you especially to the special advisor, to the executive chairman of the Lagos State Internal Revenue Service, for giving us our time. Abedin Akonde, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Bernard. Thank you, Ben. Thank you.